And we're speeding. Okay, here we go. JayzTwoCents 290X review. I don't have a slate, so anyway, what's up guys? JayzTwoCents here, and this is a long overdue video. You guys have seen this being teased in other videos. You guys have seen it on the test bench. You guys have seen it on the shelf. You guys have all been like, when the hell are you gonna finally give us the SAPPHIRE 290X Tri-X 8GB video? I even talked about it at PDX Land back in February. The new EVGA Silent Series power supplies offer excellent silence and efficiency through their new EVGA Eco Mode technology, and also features a 7-year warranty for worry-free gaming. Click the link in the description to learn more. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time going over the specs of the card because the card is not new. In fact, the card is technically becoming aged as NVIDIA has released their newer generation cards. This is still sitting on the Hawaii chipset, or the Hawaii base die and GPU, which we have been waiting for the long-awaited 390X refresh, so who knows when that's coming. But with the launch of Grand Theft Auto 5 on PC and that kind of being like the new benchmark that everyone's using, I figured, why don't we go ahead and take the SAPPHIRE 8GB, the Tri-X, and we see how an aging card like this, that's now available for about $300, give or take, depending on the time of the season and where you buy it. And let's see how it performs on a brand new AAA title like GTA 5, which has arguably one of the best looking graphics of any PC game, period. Now, just a quick overview of the card. It does have a 1050 megahertz GPU clock and a 1375 megahertz RAM clock. Of course, that is times 4, so you get effective whatever that number is times 4. I don't feel like doing math right now. But what makes this card unique is the fact that this is the Tri-X 8GB. This is an all-custom PCB designed by SAPPHIRE. It's got 8GB of VRAM, so that makes it ideal for high-resolution gaming. A little disclaimer here, guys. Unfortunately, we are not going to be doing any 1440p or 4K gaming on this card today because we found out that this card does not play well with my Acer XB280HK. I'll never remember that number. I don't know why. The XB280HK, which is the 1 millisecond 4K panel from Acer. And so unfortunately, we don't know if it's a problem with the card or it's a problem with the monitor. Basically, the monitor will just cycle display on and off, where you get a black screen and an image, a black screen and an image. But Windows actually perceives it as a disconnect because you even hear the disconnect sound. So anyway, we're not going to be doing anything like that. Now, when it comes to power, this thing does require 2 8-pin PCI Express power, and it does have a recommended power requirement of, and I'm sorry, I'm going to look at the box because I never remember this stuff, but it does recommend a 750 watt power supply or higher. I mean, the 8 pins by themselves are 150 watts each, and then you've got, I believe it's 75 watt that comes in through the PCI Express. And not to mention, this is a card that's kind of designed for overclocking. So anyway, as you guys can see on the back, unfortunately, I am going to ding SAPPHIRE slightly for the fact that it does not have a backplate. But kudos to them for getting all 8GB on the front side of the card. There are no chips on the back. Now, connectivity on the card is the same as any other 290X. You get 2 DVI, a DisplayPort 1.2, as well as your HDMI. So it's got a massive cooler, runs the entire length of the card. The card has a lot of heft to it. And of course, you've got the 3 fans. And this is not the Vapor X because they decided to go ahead and cut some cost off the card by getting rid of the vapor chamber and going with a straight up heat pipe design in order to keep the cost down as much as possible on the card. Now, they do say that the Vapor X obviously performs better than this in terms of cooling, but the cooling on this really isn't all that bad. I'm not gonna lie, I've played around with the card already. So it does a pretty fantastic job of cooling. It does also have the Uber button and stuff up here on the top. They've got a nice SAPPHIRE button that actually lights up when it's on. Other than that, that's the only lights on the card. There's no glowing logos, there's no glowing fans or anything like that, so it's a very low-key card in terms of glowing effects. However, the orange might not work for some people. I mean, if you've got a very specific aesthetic build, it's very unlikely that orange is going to be that color scheme. I mean, in fact, orange is quite niche, more niche than the yellow that I'm doing. So that may be one subjective dislike about this card, is the fact that it does have orange all over it. which is going to make it so that it could be a color clash with many systems. And many people who'd be using this card would likely be AMD fans who would like to do a red and black build, and this card is just not going to fit in. So I do feel they kind of missed an opportunity to make this card red and black, which would have just been like quintessential AMD, aesthetic. So, all right, enough of that. Let's go ahead and turn around, get into some GTA 5, and let's see how this card is performing. Now remember, this card is a lot cheaper than things like the 980 and especially the Titan X, which are kind of like the new standards in terms of top dog high-end gaming. So let's see if that holds true.
Transition.
Now because this is a fresh install here on the test bed, I'm not gonna be able to pick up in the middle of the game, so I am gonna have to play the initial like startup mission. So yeah, that's gonna kind of stink a little bit since it's not like the full world. So we'll just kind of do some excerpts of that, and then we will go ahead and get into the Los Santos, and we'll see how it does. That's how you have to say it. You have to say Los Santos. Los Santos. Just like here in Los Angeles, they say Los Angeles. Los Angeles. It means the angels. But sometimes they're more like the angels of death. That's LA. Yeah, so the game crashed, and I do want to point this out. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to point this out because it was happening a bit in the, a little bit ago, even at stock speeds. But I've played about 15 hours on my NVIDIA system, not a single crash. However, on the AMD card, I get crashes quite often. So I'm not entirely too sure what that's about. I'm running the latest drivers. And yeah, so if you guys are having an AMD card, or if you guys are having crashes, let me know what your graphics cards are down in the comments. I'm curious if you guys are getting more crashes on AMD or on NVIDIA. Now, Rockstar did use NVIDIA cards to optimize this game. In fact, they used 980s. So I'm not sure entirely on if this is some sort of a optimization of NVIDIA cards over AMD. We do know that that has taken place on AMD side as well. So I'm curious as to what the general consensus is down below. So let me know. If you're getting crashes, tell me how often you crash and what card you're using. Please. Well, this is crowdsourcing. All right, here we go. And it crashed again. See? This is highly, highly annoying. Third time's a charm, right? Now, even though I've already played this game quite a few times at 1150 megahertz, not sure if it's the overclock, I've backed it down to 1100. That's only a 50 megahertz overclock. We know, sorry Sapphire, but we know that 290s and 290Xs are shit for overclocking. The Hawaii GPU just does not have a lot of headroom, so 50 megahertz could be enough to destabilize this card right now. Well, let's go ahead and see how well this goes. I'd like to play the game without the crashing of the games. So far, we're going to call this a splash screen benchmark. Now, if you guys don't know, I've been live streaming this game, well, only once so far, but over on my Twitch channel. And you guys keep telling me, Trevor's the best, that crazy son of a bitch. Well, I finally unlocked Trevor, and you guys are right. Trevor is a crazy bastard. Hey, look at that. We actually have a game playing. Amazing. Now, for the resolution right now, we are at 1080p, 144 hertz monitor though, and all settings are 100% maxed out as far as they will go. So I figured we'd do a 1080p test, even though it's an 8GB card, because a lot of games are calling for higher GRAM amounts now. So even this game right now is sitting up near 4GB of needed VRAM at 1080p. I think she just pooped her pants. It's possible. Get in the closet. Come on. Come on. Get in there. Shoot your butt. All right. That'll do. So yeah, we'll just show a minute or two of this, and then we will we'll get into the main world. I'll get through the intro here without making this into an incredibly long video. We'll get through the prologue, and then we'll get into the real world with some Franklin, some thug action, and we'll see how that goes. But you can see the FPS is doing pretty good here, though. I don't call 80s and 90s and 100s, even at 1080p. slouch. Not at all. Now, this guy here, you have to ask himself, did he wake up this morning and say, I'm going to be a hero? These guys have fully automatic weapons, and I'm going to hold what appears to be some sort of a low caliber handgun or small caliber handgun to this guy's head. I mean, there you go. Problem solved. Now, Michael says I didn't have to do that. I'm kind of curious as to what Michael's alternative was. All right. We'll get through all this. We'll get maybe to the battle scene, and we'll see how things go.
Oh, we have a snitch on our hands. Oh dear. I do not condone this behavior, I'm just saying. I feel incredibly dirty right now. I would never do this in real life. This is terrible behavior. We're gonna go on a little nature walk.
What the fuck is this? Can't be many more cops in this town. Hurry up, this is fucked, man. Took you so long. Shut the fuck up and drive.
I believe that guy in the back seat's Trevor, right? What, with just long hair and stuff? Look at Trevor, that crazy son of a bitch. Well, my share just got a little bigger. Boing. They're shooting at us. Why? That is so incredibly rude. Didn't see that coming.
You guys alright? Fuck. Come on. Fix the car, alright? We can go this way to the chopper. No, hey. Stick to the plan. What? Stick to the fucking plan. Come on.
Yeah, the 290X is like screaming over there.
Where the fuck's the chopper?
Oh, this guy's gonna be a hero today, huh?
Oh, the fucking bag! Some of us are fucking lost! Alright, Red's gonna be fine.
Where are all these cops coming from? I've never seen this many cops in a small town.
All right, so now we're in Los Santos, and you can see that our FPS has taken a little bit of a hit. Oh, it's a cat. Bye-bye, cat. That was the slowest cat ever. Apparently, Franklin has some anger issues. I like this first mission here for Franklin, where he's a repo man. That was a nice Hollywood turn. You see how much of an FPS hit we took here in the city? I saw a benchmark that shows that the 290X was getting 90 FPS in 1440p. I'm really curious as to what those settings were, because as you can see in 1080p maxed out, we're getting 40s. Oh, he did. Yeah, so as you guys can see here, the FPS is not great, but I do have all the settings completely maxed out. But I would think a card like the 290X 8 gig would be able to handle GTA 5 at least 60 FPS while completely maxed. There's blood all over the front of my car. I love it. Whoa. Stunt jump. All right, so we just got away. That's cool. That's a big truck. All right, so let's see if we can get the settings to cooperate here. So I mean, everything's on very high right now. So let's go to the normal. All right, so everything's on normal. Okay, so it restarted that mission all the way over again, but now look at the FPS. 131. I gotta kill the cat, because that's what I did the first time. And you know what's funny about this is the game doesn't really look all that much different. So you can see the FPS has jumped up quite a bit. So unless you're running like an SLI setup or, you know, I don't know, maybe, I guess you would have to run an SLI setup for, so unless you're running like an SLI setup or a Crossfire setup, then you're gonna definitely want to leave the settings at normal. Ground textures are a bit softer, but as you can see, the FPS is much more playable. I mean, that 40 FPS was pretty ugly. But it doesn't really look all that different though, to be honest. And the FPS is now much, much better, so. But we do get quite a bit of FPS fluctuation though. All the way down to the 60s and all the way up to the hundreds. That's kind of crazy. So there you go, guys. I just wanted to kind of give you some performance numbers here for the 290X Tri-X 8GB from SAPPHIRE. Performs really, really well at normal settings. GTA 5, though, is kind of like the new level and standard of high-end graphics processing for games. So I think it did very, very well, especially at normal. But the FPS at everything at very high, even though it's an 8GB card, you can tell that the horsepower on the card is just starting to feel a little bit aged. But nothing says putting another one of these cards in if you already own a 290X wouldn't absolutely just exponentially increase your gaming performance. But to put things into perspective, I run my three 980s. I don't have my Titans in my system yet. I run my three 980s overclocked at 1440p resolution, and I only get about 130 FPS. Now I say, of course, only 130, but you would think with three 980s, it would scale better. But the SLI driver from NVIDIA just launched, well, the day of the game launch, obviously, but all three cards are not being utilized properly. Two are being utilized to full potential, and one is fluctuating between 50 and 100 constantly. So maybe drivers for the game will improve the 290X performance over time. Clearly, NVIDIA got a head start on the driver optimization since Rockstar worked with this game in accordance, or an accompaniment, or an accordance, or whatever the right word would be. Sorry guys, words are hard. But whatever the right word would be for, you know, they worked with NVIDIA to develop the game. So of course NVIDIA would have a jump start on that. I wish the card was red, like I said. I know I always am like, red sucks. But it being like one of the best performing AMD cards on the market, I think making it red would have made a statement. And the orange is, I think, what feels to me like it could be a limiting factor on some of the sales. But what do I know? I mean, Sapphire hasn't told me how many they've sold, but they do perform extremely well, and temperature stayed in the 70s the entire time. They got a little bit noisy, but coil whine and stuff was completely non-existent. It performed absolutely well. So there you go, guys. JayzTwoCents taking a look at the Sapphire 290X and some GTA 5. I don't know what else to say. Well, like I asked earlier, if you guys are getting crashes, let me know what card you're using down below. I'm kind of interested to see. Since it's a brand new game, some bugs are kind of expected. But other than that, fun game, great card, and as always, guys, thanks for watching.